When you think of phones with curved OLED displays, what comes to your mind? Probably a Samsung or a Google Pixel. But now there's a new kid in town, and it's a Sony. I'm Will for GSM Arena, and this is our Xperia XZ3 review. This year, Sony has moved away from the sharp corners and edges that we're used to in Xperia phones. The XZ3 is the latest to have the new curvy and reflective glass back design. The glass tapers down to the thin edges, which are made from 7000 series aluminum. This sharpness gives the phone a bit of grip. But what makes the XZ3 unique is that it's the first Sony phone we've seen with a curved OLED display. The way the corners of the screen flow into the aluminum frame is really reminiscent of the Google Pixel 2 XL. Overall, the XZ3 feels well built, and as you'd expect from a Sony flagship, is fully IP rated for dust and water resistance. I only have a couple of gripes with the build. The first is the placement of the rear fingerprint scanner. It's just too low to be comfortable. The camera lens is actually sitting in the spot you'd expect the reader to be. It is fast to unlock though. You can alternatively use the face unlock option. It's accurate, but not on the level that we've seen from other phones lately. The other thing I'm not a fan of is the lack of a headphone jack. You'll have to plug into the USB-C port with a dongle. Not so convenient. But luckily, the XZ3 features a great set of stereo speakers that are a pleasure to listen to. They appear identical to the ones on the XZ2, but actually tested out a bit better with an excellent loudness score. And there's the dynamic vibration system, which vibrates the phone along to the music for a more immersive feel. Like previous Sony phones, the XZ3 has a dedicated hardware button for the camera. But in case you're really worried about missing the perfect moment, there's now the new Smart Launch. If you take the XZ3 out of your pocket and aim, the phone will detect this and automatically offer to launch the camera and take a shot. Storage-wise, the Xperia XZ3 has 64 gigs on board, and it is expandable through a microSD slot. And as always with Sony, the phone will restart when you open the tray. But let's go back to the display. It's really the first of its kind on a Sony phone. It's a tall 6-inch OLED with a QHD resolution and HDR support, and some snazzy curved edges. Content spills around the sides of the curved glass and looks incredibly sharp. Colors are vibrant, blacks are perfect, and everything looks fluid and responsive. There is a bit of blue color shift, but it's not too noticeable, only around the curved edges, not on the screen as a whole. The XZ3's display isn't the brightest around. It goes up to a maximum of 440 nits, and unlike other phones, there's no additional brightness in auto mode. But even so, sunlight legibility on this panel is really great, on par with what we see from the Galaxy S9. Color accuracy isn't the best, a bit on the bluer side in the standard color mode, but there are other color profiles to choose from, as well as a custom white balance adjustment if you want to dial something in. One neat feature is the highly customizable always-on display. It comes with a selection of notification and music controls and clock styles. You can add stickers or even your own photos onto the display to see them all day long. There are actually quite a few features available on the XZ3, which is running its Xperia launcher over the newest Android 9.0 Pie. It may actually be the first to come with it out of the box. As always, Sony brings a bunch of its own software apps such as Music and Album, the phone and Messages, and others. But Sony has been cleaning up its Xperia launcher lately, and there isn't much in the way of bloatware. Menus and the app drawer all come with search fields, so you can find what you need right away. The new Side Sense allows you to open a custom drawer interface by double tapping on the curved edge of the screen. It shows recent apps and quick shortcuts, and it is customizable. I did find that the Side Sense drawer does open accidentally once in a while. It really depends on how you hold the phone. Another use of Side Sense is the swipe gesture, which allows you to go back in any app. And you're able to upconvert videos from SDR to HDR for better details and contrasty video scenes. At the heart of the XZ3 is the flagship standard, a top-of-the-line Snapdragon 845 chipset. Along with this, we have 4 gigs of RAM. In CPU benchmarks, performance is great, about on par with the XZ2, which also just came out not too long ago. For battery life, the 3300 mAh battery inside the XZ3 definitely delivers, earning an endurance rating of 90 hours in our proprietary tests. Just a note that this was done with the always-on display turned off, as it does drain the battery. With the bundled charger, we were less than impressed, getting from 0 to 25% charge in half an hour. But when we switched to an 18-watt USB power delivery capable charger, we were able to get up to 43% in half an hour. So why not pack something like this in the box? There is Qi wireless charging though, not too speedy but convenient. The Xperia XZ3 has a single 19-megapixel main camera with an f2.0 lens, predictive face detection autofocus, and laser autofocus. There's no OIS though. The bummer is that you don't get the bright aperture or second camera of the XZ2 Premium. That said, it's the same camera setup as the regular XZ2, including the fast memory readout that prevents rolling shutter, but there are some software and processing upgrades this time around. The camera UI itself has been overhauled. It's much easier to get into the different camera modes, which are all held within a single menu. A double tap on the edge and the camera interface will snap a photo too. In good light, the XZ3 delivers very pleasing photos. Colors are rich, and there's nice contrast and relatively wide dynamic range. Pixel peeping reveals a fair share of noise, but also plenty of fine detail. In low light, the Xperia XZ3 copes equally well. Again, there's some noise, but there's also a lot of detail captured thanks to a newly upgraded Bion's image processor. Colors look lifelike, not washed out or oversaturated. If you compare to the Xperia XZ2, you'll see that the older generation takes photos that are less noisy, but a lot softer. Since there's only one camera, bokeh mode is produced through software only. Portrait shots are 8 megapixels and not half bad. Subject separation is good, though not perfect, and the background blur looks natural. One clear upgrade the XZ3 offers over the XZ2 is the 13 megapixel selfie cam, with autofocus and a brighter f1.9 aperture. Shots look great when there's plenty of light. There's lots of fine detail, nice colors, and decent dynamic range. There is also a selfie portrait mode, which is 8 megapixels like on the main cam, but it isn't quite as proficient when it comes to subject separation. In good light, 4K footage is sharp and detailed, and there's little noise. Colors look balanced, and dynamic range is pretty wide. You can opt for the H.265 codec to save space. While all the videos have some electronic stabilization, the highest level, Intelligent Active, is only available up to 1080p at 30 FPS. You can also shoot video in HDR, which will give you better results in contrasty scenes. It uses the HLG standard, so you can bring the content onto a non-HDR compatible screen and play it back as SDR without looking washed out. This type of HDR video is also easily uploadable to YouTube. Like on the XZ2, you can record super slow motion video at 960 FPS at either 720p or 1080p. Recording at 1080 grants only half the slow-mo time window compared to 720. We wish Sony would add an auto trigger mode like you'd find on Samsung's iteration. So the Xperia XZ3. It's great to see Sony willing to revamp its tried and true Xperia design. Plus, on top of that curved body and awesome screen, you get stereo speakers, smooth performance, and good battery life. There are some downsides. The fingerprint reader definitely takes some getting used to. There's no headphone jack, and the bundled charger is slow. And for some reason they skipped over using the dual camera system from the XZ2 Premium. But despite the nitpicks, if Sony prices this one right, they may have a winner here. The XZ3 embraces the newest trends without losing what makes Sony phones special, and it deserves our recommendation. Thanks for watching. Hit like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And don't forget you can always stop by gsmarina.com for our full test findings. See ya!